Okay, as someone born with a defective sense of humor, who can make my damn friend cry by making him explain the joke from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. and still not get why it's funny? And also the one who always asks, what the hell is wrong with Japanese humor? So today, I'm going to recommend some comedy series that I genuinely find comedic. This is not a ranking. It's simply a recommendation from someone born with a congenital humor defect. Kicking off today's list, I'd like to introduce you to a series that just by hearing its name, longtime anime fans already sense something ominous. Yes, none other than Grand Blue Dreaming. If you're looking for an anime series with lighthearted school content, a poetic setting, and a budding romance, then please exit immediately. Because Grand Blue is the pinnacle of the art of doing outrageous things and messing around with your best friends. Let's briefly go over the plot for those who aren't familiar. Does it have a proper beginning to end plot? If you think it's brain dead, you'd be wrong. Iori, a first-year freshman, carries the dream of a rosy college life, studying seriously, doing light part-time jobs, and sweetly flirting with his crush. But life is not like a dream, especially life in Grand Blue. This young man mistakenly stepped into the cave named the Diving Club, but the main activities don't revolve around swimming at all. This series is called a comedy, probably just as an excuse for the author to go wild with this kind of shameless humor to the extreme. Imagine you have a romantic school anime series, a scene of blue sea, golden sun, and gentle music. Then 5 seconds later, two muscular men appeared, and then stripped naked to show off their dicks. Each episode is a continuous combo of pantsing, getting drunk, and fighting, with endless dramatic acting that never gets old. It's as if their brains were born just to be comedic, with no other function. Most notably, viewers will immediately know that everyone is crazy, but each one believes they are the only sane one among the group. The element that adds comedic flavor to any comedy is the characters' expressions. I think the animators must have strained every muscle to draw the facial expressions of these pixelated characters, from the I'll kill you look while playing Uno to the murderous smile when burying their friends. Everything is drawn as if all the artists cared about and invested in was making it as unique and bizarre as possible, especially the transitions and expressions from Hansen to brain dead in just 0.1 seconds are a specialty of the show. The visuals are as beautiful as show, but the animation is as salty as endless sea salt. Every scene transition is a display of the scriptwriter's awesome brain. Romantic background music or ED all turn into a joke in the blink of an eye. Sound effects contribute to turning every daily life scene into a comedy show. Combined with love, all of that made me laugh as if I hadn't laughed since I was born. So, if you've just been kicked hard by life, turn on Grand Blue. I'm not sure it'll make you laugh, but it made me laugh. Next on the list is an anime that can help you enlighten you with another secret. When girls want to go wild, no one can stop them. Welcome, everyone, to Asobi, where three pretty girls act like they just escaped from an asylum. Three high school girls, Olivia, Hanako, and Kazumi, form what's called a club. The Pastomers Club, where every meeting is a competition to see who can change their expression faster. They don't carry any grand responsibility to save the world, or even the most normal activities in a club. Normal? Honestly, in the world of comedy, finding a normal person is as hard as finding a needle in a haystack. But in return, they've brought us internal conflicts. Mind, on par with psychological warfare, with character expressions that look like they're from a horror movie. I advise you not to watch it at midnight. This is the most sincere advice I've ever given until now. Compared to Grand Blue, when I look at those guys' faces, I know what I'm about to get. But here, with cute visuals, super cute, and an innocent school setting, you can't blame me for being naive. And then, just 5 minutes into the show, I found myself watching a psychological torture session with a cast of unstable characters and distorted expressions on par with characters in Attack on Titan. The difference is they don't suffer terribly like that. The main group is truly the definition of help little, destroy much. Asobi is nothing short of a masterful play that successfully ambushed me when I chose to watch it. I dare you, do you dare? What else makes this show harmful? Besides the awkward situations, which are almost 99% caused by our own group, it's the characters' expressions that are surprisingly hilarious, guys, because I always believed in my mind that anime girls' faces would always be cute and timeless. But that completely fell apart when I watched this show. A shy, embarrassed maiden's smile can instantly turn into an expression of cursing 3 generations. A flirtatious tear can carry sky-high killing intent, more than even the villain Johan. An irredeemably hilarious anime where you laugh at the silliness, at the expressions, at the 3 girls who act like they just graduated from a mental acting school. If you ever thought slice-of-life anime about schoolgirls would be gentle, then please try Asobi. Then come back and comment below after episode 3. It's not too late. If there's an anime that makes you watch and shout, "Oh, why is it so much like my friend group?" then that's Daily Lives of High School Boys. just a group of high school boys, gathering daily to collectively lose their minds, made me laugh myself half to death. But precisely because of that unremarkable vibe, I found this show to be extraordinarily special. Honestly, this is the first comedy show that made me shed some prejudice against 100% of Japanese people regarding their style of humor. Like after watching it, it went from 100% down to 99%. So now you guys ask me about this story, huh? Well, I've summarized the whole story in the introduction. This show doesn't need a plot, because a male student's life doesn't need logic. Each episode consists of small stories revolving around the group of male students, including the three main ones. Tarakuni, who looks kind but is unlucky. Hidenori, the philosophical talker, and Yoshi, the guy who always goes along but is very serious when talking nonsense. The three of them gather, and their main activity is deep role-playing, pranking and debating grand topics, like how to confess without being awkward, or if girls couldn't read minds. It's exactly the type of anime that makes guys laugh because they're so over the top. You'll also laugh because you see how much they're like you. Nonsensical situations, conversations, that seem serious but change faster than even TikTok drama, are all things any male student has experienced. We know it's a comedy, so it's funny, but don't rate it on par with those instant noodle shows on the market. Its humor is quite high quality. This show is not brainless at all. It just pretends to be brainless, to poke at your brains. Situations that seem illogical actually reflect the true nature of boys. Idle, playful, and with thoughts as unstable as 3G internet. Sometimes you'll come across lines that are deep and reek of youth, school-age love, the self-doubt of adolescence, and so on and so forth. Then it's immediately extinguished by a comedic scene that you wouldn't expect. Every expression, every shout, every silent moment is perfectly timed to hit the audience's weakest point, the funny bone. This is truly a case of the apple not falling far from the tree. If you've ever had a close group of friends who always talked nonsense, always making up situations for comedy, or simply want a chance to flash back to the past of a glorious time, then Daily Lives of High School Boys is an undeniable choice, recommended by me. Somewhere in the anime world, where characters face demons, magic academies, or those brain-melting twists, Aho Girl chose a different path. It focused all its efforts on making the audience lose IQ points by the minute. This anime doesn't save the world, nor does it save the viewers. It just destroys your brain with a female lead whose mind is like a banana. I'm not kidding. The female lead, Yoshi, is the most deserving candidate for the award for female character, who could make the audience choke with laughter, and then choke again because they can't believe someone could be that stupid. She's not just bad at studying, she's consistently stupid, comprehensively and proudly so, and the author decided that was the most important thing this anime had to follow. Aho Girl chose to delve into idiocy and exploit it to its fullest. The humor of the show comes from the combo of an overly stupid female lead, an exhausted best friend, and an audience laughing their heads off. Plus, all the absurdity doesn't come from complex situations, but from Yoshiko managing to mess up every situation. This time, you can't blame fate, not to mention the main character's strange obsession with bananas, which makes me wonder whether to laugh or worry about her psychological development going straight into the ground. This show doesn't even let you catch your breath after laughing. Every minute brings a new idiotic antic. Every episode a new brain-flipping moment from Yoshiko. The good thing here is that the supporting characters aren't allowed to be normal either, especially his blunt best friend Aku, whose main method is punching, specifically dealing with Yoshiko through school violence. It sounds wrong, but looking back, it makes sense. When words are no longer effective, violence prevails. The ultimate educational method can also save all of us. Every time Yoshiko gets punched, jumps on a table, or screams, it's like a wave of comedy hitting me directly in the face. And naturally, I can't resist. No need for deep insights or mind-numbing messages. But this series has the power to heal, with wild laughter, whether you're stressed or losing faith in life, or simply want to watch something so stupid it makes you kneel. Then Ahoj is the perfect, unquestionable choice. For the second time in this video, amidst a multitude of superpower anime series competing to shoot energy blasts, bend the universe, and create mind-bending plot twists like American ones, Saiki Kusuo steps forward, carrying a face as blank as a statue, two antenna-like devices, and a nonchalant attitude. Do you guys think being an overpowered protagonist is fun? No way. Try living a day in Saiki's life. Possessing 108 types of superpowers, yet still unable to avoid being invited to karaoke, or walking the dog. Saiki was born a darling of the universe, with powers ranging from flight and mind reading, animal language translation, teleportation, matter manipulation, and even turning others into stone when he's too lazy to talk. But life doesn't give anything for free. Because the more the main character wants peace, the more society won't leave him alone for even a second. In other anime series, if the main character has superpowers, they're incredibly cool. In Saiki K, the protagonist is super tired again because of his superpowers. This comedy series is a type of humor, built upon ridiculously over-the-top situations, but the protagonist's reaction remains completely unfazed. Or perhaps he's just too fed up with his life. Saiki doesn't need to act funny, because all the characters around him have already taken care of being crazy for him. He just needs to maintain his blank, stiff expression and quietly adjusts his antenna whenever life starts throwing at him endless absurdities. A reaction I consider to be all too familiar. Send an SOS signal if you're not okay so I can come rescue you. If Psyche is the only sane one, then the entire class around him is nothing short of a wildlife sanctuary filled with unstable personalities. Nendo, the muscle-brained one, whose expressions are like glitched emojis, is the only person whose thoughts Seiki can't read, because, in reality, there's nothing in his brain to read. Kaido claims to be the jet black wings, and loves posing like he's filming a spooky TikTok video. Not to mention the speed at which the characters speak, as if they've been sped up tenfold, making my brain unable to keep up. I just have to accept the harsh reality. Listening to Vietnamese rap version 2, accepting that I'm laughing without understanding why. If you're tired of characters crying because they're too weak, watch Seki. If you're sick of female characters screaming like a burning pan, watch Psyche. If you want a show where everything is absurd, yet annoyingly logical, watch Psyche. In the world of anime, high school romance is often portrayed with shy glances, fluttering hearts, and winds blowing through hair, like a ballad music video. But for Kaio Sakura, her crush Nozaki only cared about deadlines, line art, ink, and the plot for the manga he just drew, which was full of bait for the readers. The main character is a cute high school girl who decided to confess to her longtime crush, a classmate. But life isn't like romance anime. Nozaki, despite his tall, handsome appearance, is actually a shoujo mangaka specializing in writing love stories for teenage girls. The first plot twist happened right at the 3rd minute. When Kaio gathered all her courage to confess, Nozaki immediately handed her a piece of paper and recruited her as a screen tone assistant. Thus, love turned into unpaid labor. Her crush didn't become her lover, but a colleague. And all romantic hopes were crushed, right from that moment. Don't worry guys, I'm prepared for any plot twist. At first glance, do you think this is a sweet shoujo series? Or is it the type that uses silly humor as a disguise? Not at all. This series is truly a comedy, and it's very comedic from beginning to end, without missing a beat. Everything in the show plays out as if it's a shoujo production, but the plot only goes straight down to the ground. It can't go up. Nozaki has all the elements of a romance novel male lead. Tall, handsome, quiet, and talented, but he has one fatal flaw. He's as slow as a Pentium CPU with weak Wi-Fi. Not to mention the supporting characters around him can't save the main relationship either. They can only make it fall into countless absurd situations, leaving the female lead unable to react. Although it's primarily comedic, it still captures the essence of school life. Unrequited love, misunderstandings, self-doubt, secretly watching your crush from afar. Things everyone has experienced, but few have had to experience. Had to ink the manga draft for tomorrow morning's deadline. Like the female protagonist, Gekkan Nozaki-kun is a declaration for those with unrequited love, introverted but outwardly expressive. An anime where you don't need to love anyone, just need to love the sincere foolishness of those who don't know what love is, but remain loyal to love every day. Through each drawing of the main couple, for the author to create such a humorous and romantic combo, they must be very skilled, even though the humor heavily overshadows the other part. Shimonetta right from its first poster and trailer. Shimonetta blew my mind. A girl wearing a headscarf and a mask, holding panties like a revolutionary flag, an image that made me not know whether to laugh or be temporarily shocked. And I didn't forget to save the meme for later use. What do you guys think? An anime that bans books? The main character throws panties like subversive flyers. And the title is, As Long as a Novel. A world where the concept of obscenity doesn't exist. The linguistic terrorist, and the war against the fake, sanctimonious morality. Sounds like a wartime declaration. But actually, I see it more as a journey, to reclaim the right to use foul language. That is, if you guys think it deserves to be called a journey, a decent one, with a cast of characters as eccentric as the title. I Dame Blue Snow, the female protagonist, a pervert and a revolutionary spreading obscenity studies. Main weapon, 18 slogans. Secondary weapon, throwing underwear like grenades. She's probably similar to the character Dead, but the Japanese version. Main anime characters can also be considered immortal. Raikaz, she can't hold her tongue, and is absolutely indecent. Kichi-nam, the male lead, thinks he's righteous, but turns out to be a tool for transporting dirty content disguised as an exemplary student, a type of character that viewers both pity and want to lecture about morals, but then give up because he doesn't live wrongly, yet society forces him to admit he's wrong. And Anna, the principal's daughter, an exemplary student, a standard lady, until love transforms into sexual violence. In episode 6, this is the character that makes viewers believe the saying, the more you forbid, the more corrupt it becomes. And you guys will never look at yogurt the same way again. I've already given up on that. The world of is where the government attaches censorship devices to people's heads, prohibiting all obscene acts, from language to a wrongful glance. Students must live morally like robots. Sex education is completely banned, and all indecency is called treason. In this context, a group of rebellious friends stood up to form with the goal of popularizing spicy culture for the younger generation through drawings, suggestive language, and adult educational games. It sounds absurd but is incredibly convincing, because the film's message is crystal clear. The more you force people to live by standards, the more they want to break boundaries. Unlike some hatchy works that are intentionally revealing for humor, Shimonetta uses obscenity as a tool for comedy, but in reality, it's a deeply biting metaphor for hypocrisy and moral pretense. And a robotic education system. You laugh because the 18 jokes are good, but if you stop for 5 seconds, you'll see it reflects a serious, hypocritical society where people practice abstinence, but forget how to teach people to understand it properly. Shimonetta doesn't promote depravity, it just asks in return. Why is biological knowledge considered dirty? If you need an anime that's both raunchy and hilarious, yet full of hidden meaning, one that can make you laugh hysterically but also question humanity and life itself, then welcome to Shimonetta, where every pair of panties thrown into the air is a declaration, a bold statement against society's absurd censorship system. I've been laughing so much while editing, so I'll take a sip of water and continue, while you wait for my next recommendation. Why don't you subscribe to the channel and like this video right now, huh? Okay, next up is Plastic Nason. You might wonder, what's it about? Oh well. It's about a plastic model club, consisting of 3 high school girls. Visually, you'd think it's a cute slice of life anime, like building Gunpla and then having tea. But no. I don't know how many more times I have to say this. Each episode is 2.5 minutes long, and in those 2.5 minutes, your brain will be squeezed, twisted, and then deep. This series truly exists just to be funny, with no other purpose. Plastic Nason doesn't bother to gently guide the viewer from beginning to end. At least, it should have a decent introduction, right? But I'm not complaining. It's ready to throw you into a pit of humor, then cover your mouth and torture you with screams, slapstick, live mime, and expressions from another dimension. Every line of dialogue is a mind-bending twist. Every expression is a potential meme. Every fight is a world war, miniaturized within the characters' minds, but to outsiders looking in, they only see a bunch of crazy people messing around. The comedic trio includes Plastic Nason. Plastic Nason, whose real name is Iroh, is the youngest member of the group, but has a more domineering personality than even the homeroom teacher. Her specialties include swearing, hitting friends, and rhyming insults. Makina and Hazuki, her 2 sons, play the role of the audience in the very anime they are starring in. Occasionally they retort, but mostly they writhe in agony enduring the culture shock. From Plastic Nason is only 2 minutes long per episode, so there's no time for gradual character development. So don't expect even a second of normalcy. Each episode is a situation with 3 gags, 7 screams, and 10 expressions that make viewers want to see a psychiatrist. Sound effects like screams and Boeing pack noises are used constantly. They're abundant but fitting, used at the right time and in the right role. It's like eating rice. You never get tired of it. As I said, nothing is normal in this series. So where's the logic? Well, that's how it is. But don't underestimate it and dismiss it as brainless or silly comedy like many common series. You have to trust me on this one, guys. Quite the opposite. Every event in this series is logical, to the point where you won't be sad, but rather you'll rack your brain wondering why. I think perhaps the most abnormal thing in a world that is abnormal has become normal. You're watching a scene where they're talking about robot models. Then it suddenly switches to a philosophy about height, then flips to a scene of office chair racing. No one understands what's happening, not even the characters in the film, and that's exactly what kept me watching until episode 4. It's always good. Each episode is a bomb, not a dramatic bomb, but a dopamine bomb, hitting you in the face non-stop. I laughed until my neck hurt, admiring how outrageous this series is. Plastic Nason is like the anime version of a shitpost video, a shitpost with no reason, no purpose, just needs to joyfully destroy your sanity, and that's enough. Kaio's School Road. The path to school is less than 1 kilometer long, but there's enough going on to make 3 anime series and 1 live-action movie. This series tells the story of the daily commute of a student, Kaio Miyamo, a true gamer. She specializes in staying up all night gaming until morning, so she's late for school every morning, like a conditioned reflex. And if you think being late for school means rushing, climbing fences, and apologizing to the disciplinary teacher, then no. For Kaio, going to school is a series of illogical events. From swinging on power lines like Assassin's Creed, to outsmarting some amateur yakuza, avoiding annoying friends, to cosplaying game characters right in the middle of the street. Kaio School Road doesn't need plot twists or superpowers. This anime takes familiar situations and turns them into a survival game. And the humor lies in the fact that the characters are overly serious about everything trivial. Kaio can climb walls while talking to herself in her head as if she's live streaming a game, avoid neighbors while acting like she's in an action movie, or imagine falling would cause a national scandal, and then worry about being cancelled. She once thought that if she fell on someone, the newspapers would headline, "Fat schoolgirl crushes old man to death on her way home from school." And to avoid that, Ms. Leo, who thought she was a ninja, almost broke her pelvis. The supporting characters are also not ordinary people. It's as if everyone in the neighborhood is auditioning for a comedy show. Mañana Kaio's best friend, whose voice alone tells you she's a synchronized lunatic. The two play a game of who's more brainless today, and no one wins, because both lose. IQ or Yuki, a sporty girl with an idol-like body but a violent soul, talks like a disguised thug, and enjoys scaring people with a spine-chilling smile. And the most special slot goes to the Yakuza uncle, who coincidentally appeared when Kaio accidentally cut him off. He was going to the restroom, and after a battle of wits, he was moved and returned to being an honest person. Yes, a schoolgirl, reformed a gangster, just with gentle scolding and knowledge from shooting games. As a true gamer, Kaio brings her entire mindset as a gamer into her daily life. She takes shortcuts like doing avoids acquaintances like dodging a hidden boss, and when faced with an awkward situation, she chooses to quit the game by jumping into a ditch, continuing to showcase its strengths. These series don't let me rest for a second. I swear, watching a comedy is as painful as being tortured. As soon as you finish laughing, a new situation arises. Kaio's inner monologue is the brightest highlight. It's not as complicated as the main character's inner thoughts. Here, the panic and constantly changing expressions like a TikTok actor specializing in over-the-top roles. The animation style isn't overly invested, but the character's facial expressions stretch to JoJo levels. Close-ups at the right spots, and timely scene transitions double or triple the humor. Don't let the name Road to School fool you. Kaio School Road isn't about studying, but about the human brain under stress, plus lack of sleep, plus gaming addiction. A film that speaks for all students, who once swore they'd wake up early today, but ended up playing until 2 a.m. and forgot to sleep. If you've ever skipped recess just to grind in a game, pretended to be sick to skip pay, or ever thought, why am I so unlucky today, then watch Kaio to know you're still pretty lucky. When you see the title Cromartie High School, and the character designs with buzz cuts and tough faces, and intimidating jackets, someone might think, oh, this must be an anime about gangs, schoolyard brawls, true 90s Japanese style. But no. What you'll get is a group of tough-looking guys, sitting around philosophizing about mint candy, debating the origin of mackerel, and suspecting a classmate for eating a bun too quietly. What an opening with a scorching trick. Thought it was a violent anime, turns out it's a sitcom disguised as a gang story. The cast of characters are all like Godzilla in disguise, but their intelligence is hard to pinpoint. Takashi Kamiya, the main character, is one of the rare students with a brain, but decided to enroll in Cromartie High to build a reputation as a good student among a bunch of monkeys. Hayashida, the guy with a tuft of hair on his head, often comes up with arguments that make viewers lose touch with reality. Or Freddie. Yes, that's right, a guy exactly like Freddie Mercury, who never says a word, rides a horse into class, and is a full-time student at the school. And the monkey, whose real name is Gorilla, knows how to play guitar, knows how to behave, even studies harder than those who claim to be human. They might be teachers in disguise, but no one dares to say it. See, guys, aren't the characters in this series awesome? Each episode is a short story with a problem that seems serious, but the more they try to solve it, the further they stray from the main topic. And that's the specialty of Cromartie High. It throws viewers into a labyrinth of aimless conversations, but makes them laugh like crazy because it's so absurd. It's an anime comedy that doesn't need shouting. It's what a delinquent series should have. All the characters keep a straight face as if they're discussing a plan to defeat the final boss, while the content they're discussing is, why is there someone named Biobio? Should we form a Pongo rock band from old metal? If a monkey is smarter than me, should I give up my class president position? And so on and so forth. Problems from heaven to hell. The humor comes from the contrast between the delinquent image and the naive mindset. You'll see someone who looks like a Yakuza boss, but trembles when they see expired milk. The studio that made this series is like, if they have 100 million yen, they'll use 10 million for animation, and 90 million to invest in the script. Internalizing sociological pathologies, it sounds like silly comedy, but Cromartie High often makes you realize some very mundane truths, even if it turns into a farce a second later. And if your school life isn't weird enough, then watch Cromartie High to know that the world has more insane places than even those. Groups on Facebook. Next up is Sakamoto Desu. My friend told me to watch this series, and when he showed it to me, I looked at him like he was an idiot, because the content was too boring. Hearing this, my friend wondered why I complained it was boring, but it's still appearing here. It's because I was brainwashed. I don't know why, but the more I watched, the more hooked I got. This series will show you how the main character can make the whole school kneel without fighting. This main character walks into the classroom as if he just walked off the runway at Paris Fashion Week. He's a high school student, but his aura is like the CEO of a dairy corporation. He wears a uniform but looks like he's wearing a suit. He takes tests while still drawing. He gets bullied but still counterattacks with a cool, blunt demeanor, making anyone who passes by fall in love at first sight. If I thought this character was real, I'd worry about breathing the same air as him. Would it affect him? You don't need to tire yourselves out remembering the plot, because this series doesn't bother telling a coherent story. Each episode is a combination of bizarre situations, where the main character is placed in classroom dramas, like being teased, having his chair pulled, or being flirted with by a girl, and he resolves everything by making everyone admire and respect him, then get confused by his insane coolness. That's how he recruits followers. The humor of the show doesn't come from absurdity, but from Sakamoto, doing the most illogical things with the most serious demeanor. You'll see him dodge chalk dust like Neo in The Matrix, run to class like he's filming a sports commercial for Nike, or, most simply, chase a bee out of the classroom, with the utmost flair, not just second best. Everyone tries to break Sakamoto's image, but the more they try, the more magnificent he becomes every second, making their existence as insignificant as a mosquito. From the delinquent students to the girl who loves handsome guys, and the teacher who's bitter about not getting attention, they all become unwilling victims of Sakamoto's aura. Sakamoto doesn't need to fight. No need to save the world. Sakamoto just needs to live beautifully, live chill, and live in a way that makes the universe slow down to admire him. That's more than enough. At the center of this relationship is Tenma, a cute girl, clumsy, with an IQ level of choosing A for all multiple choice questions. She's secretly in love with her friend Karazuma, a character with an inner world as deep as a pebble. But the tragedy doesn't stop there. Harima Kenji, a reformed delinquent, is unrequitedly in love with Tenma. And from there, the universe of School Rumble began to form with 3 character arcs, 100 misunderstandings and 0 successful confessions. The characteristic feature of School Rumble is that no one in the show understands what's happening, not even those involved. Tenma loves Karazuma. Karazuma doesn't care. Harima loves Tenma. Tenma thinks Harima is a sad poet. Supporting characters like Eri and Yakumo also fall into this emotional labyrinth, where every conversation ends with an expression like, "Wait, what do you mean?" No one in this show is completely normal. But no one is bad either. They're just a bit goofy and severely lack communication skills. Harima, the repented delinquent, lives like a poet obsessed with manga, easily hurt and often overthinking. Once, he was thrown into jail just for wearing a ninja outfit while stalking his crush to school, Eri Sawachika, a snobby rich kid. But deep down, she's a softie. She has a crush on Harima, but reacts by slapping him every time she's flustered. Her interactions are light, but she won't give in eyes. Yakumo, Tenma's quiet and reserved younger sister, is spiritual, you see. She has a special ability to read other people's thoughts. Except for Harima, which made him Mr. Mysterious in the eyes of the whole class. School Rumble has very normal visuals. Like many other school-themed shows, the setting is a familiar school, gym, and diner. But clearly, when watching, I couldn't find anything normal. The situations were already bizarre. And then there were SSR-level facial expressions, top-notch character gestures, terrifying screams, slow motion, and dramatic effects were all maxed out. Making every second I decided to watch this show a new experience, preparing to die laughing. The quick, concise, and undrawn-out dialogues made each episode have 2-3 short situations that flowed seamlessly, quick setups, quick twists, unexpected punchlines that hit the mark. The more laughter, the better. True to sitcom format, but still retaining the charm of a school anime. But thinking back, I'm not sure if there's any charm left. However, this series is a bit more special, in my personal opinion, because amidst the laughter, there are still times when School Rumble makes viewers feel a little sentimental, and precisely because everyone hides their emotions with antics, viewers sometimes feel empathy for the characters. As for me, I truly want to go and pat them on the shoulder to encourage them. Because, well, who wouldn't be sad about unrequited love? So, if any of you are free or bored, and don't know what to watch, then give this a try. Watch this one right away to find out the ending of this messy love story soon. I won't spoil it for you guys. Now, I will perform a summoning spell for you guys. One of the patriarchs of comedy. Azumanga Dio. No complicated romance. No superpowers, or a main character intending to save the world. Only a classroom full of slightly goofy girls. A female teacher, even goofier than her students, and a very ill-behaved cat. The main characters as a selected lineup of school personalities, Chihiro, a new 5th grade genius student who has already studied high school, high IQ but physical strength like a cabbage. Osaka, the epitome of cluelessness, with a mind like a flickering Wi-Fi signal. Tomo, hyperactive, and talks as much as a reaction Yomi, rational, and good at studying, who serves as the group's foundation, and often wants to move out of the city. And finally, quiet, and tall. Looks like a gang leader, but actually has the soul of a cat lover, who loves petting cats so much that she gets bitten at least 5 times per episode. The humor of Azumanga Dio doesn't come from creating absurd situations, but from the characters' behavior, being very unlike normal people, yet very much like your best friend. Just kidding, Osaka can sit in class, look at a desk, and imagine the desk talking and asking to be the treasurer, or the whole class goes to the beach. But more time is spent thinking, If this cat were the final boss, what would we do? Dozens, not to mention billions, of bizarre situations, whose main cause is the outrageous minds of the characters, where no one is like anyone else. After watching, you'll ponder and understand why it's considered the progenitor of the anime genre. You guys shouldn't rush to think that's all there is to it, right? Because there must be a reason why I called it the progenitor. The second point of Azumanga Dio is still about bringing warmth. Light but not bland, and significantly deeper. If you enjoy it to the fullest, not for entertainment, but to free your mind. No need to understand everything, just feel the vibe, laugh a little, be a little bewildered, and then realize, of my school days, I was just as unreasonable, but only a group of ordinary students, but every day is a comedic psychological performance. That's enough to bring more light into your lives. Harry Potter, the anime version, why not? However, this Harry doesn't wield a magic wand. He just needs to raise his powerful fist, and his opponents will bow their heads in defeat. Mashburn. He lives in a world where magic is the standard for being human, to the point where those without magical abilities are considered social outcasts. Sounds like reality in disguise. The problem is, Mash has no magic at all, but in return, he has biceps the size of bowling balls, and a punch that shakes the wizarding world's mindset. Mashal is the kind of anime that looks serious on the outside, but after 5 minutes, you'll understand. Oh, so this is One Punch Man and Hawk? On the outside, it's a magic academy, with houses, a very strict social hierarchy, and the goal is to become a divine visionary. But inside, it represents a social system that has decayed, and desperately needs the protagonist to save it. And true to the familiar motif, the protagonist bursts in and shatters all prejudices. But the difference is, he does it with muscles, not much brain power. All the battles here are resolved, literally by hand. Contributing to the success of this anime, it would be a huge oversight not to mention the protagonist's contribution. Mash is the type of character who is emotionless but priceless. Every line he says has the right humor. He doesn't need to act cool, because his natural cluelessness and calm reactions are an unlimited source of comedy. When he meets a boss who uses magic to destroy spirits, Mash says, "Let me try punching him to see if it stops, so the teacher doesn't call me useless." Mash says, "Yes, I'm sorry, but I'll lift more weights to fix my mistake." Plus the acting of the supporting characters. Not sure if it's acting or not, making every episode an endless laugh riot. Perhaps this is the newest series, and the youngest anime. In this entire clip, A1 Pictures did an excellent job with the smooth combat visuals, eye-catching magic effects, and slow-motion scenes are perfectly timed to zoom in on the master's full face. But the punches are incredibly powerful. A show with such visually satisfying combos and mental fulfillment, it is truly a rare and hard-to-find delicacy. And of course, the message this series conveys is also top. It just emerged among a bunch of action-packed shenan. If you guys need motivation to hit the gym, need a reason to laugh freely after work, or simply like to see a main character punch through a system, Mashal is the high-protein spiritual food that you guys need right now. Now, let's get wild with Space Dandy. An anime that can be briefly described as when Cowboy Bebop gets kicked in the head, drinks 5 sodas a day, and decides to become an entertainment show for aliens, with a soul that loves bikinis and cosmic philosophy. Space Dandy is about Dandy, an alien hunter with slicked back hair, an 80s-style jacket, and an intense passion for bikini cafes on every planet. Along with Dandy is QT, a robot assistant with the personality of an office assistant, with limited emotions. Meow, the alien cat who knows how to use a phone, is useless but capable of eating and sleeping regardless of the ecosystem. This series doesn't follow a conventional logical order, even though the art style is extremely serious, and it even has a Cowboy Bebop vibe. To be honest, none of the shows so far have been normal. Each episode is a separate universe. It could be a musical zombie, a Noah film parodying Pixar, a family sitcom, or an episode where everyone talks to each other's butts. You can't guess what's going to happen next. Each episode is a plot twist, where you can laugh out loud because Dandy talks to a toaster, shed tears because episode 13 is the anime version of her, about a robot falling into depression and love, or simply sit in awe of the vastness of that universe. That philosophy of life? Space Dandy is the definition of experimentation in anime. You'll see the pace shift from American Weed to a Chaplin-style silent film, and now suddenly it's a National Geographic documentary about aliens. The film's 82% playfulness isn't just about laughing at silliness, but laughing because no one else dares to do it, except Space Dandy. For example, a prominent episode has the entire crew bitten and turned into zombies, but they still continue to operate the ship, go for coffee, do missions, but nothing happens. And the episode's conclusion is that being a zombie isn't so bad after all. Joking aside, there are still hidden lessons, somewhere that you can find for yourself, to grow. What could be better than learning while playing? Beneath the layer of parody is a heart full of contemplation about the universe, self, and loneliness. So don't let the madness fool you. Space Dandy is often as deep as postmodern philosophy, mixed with sweet milk tea, with sparkling cosmic toppings. It raises questions like, what if you could relive each episode? So you're a real AI. Does the number 4 have the right to dream? Or can love exist across dimensions? I'll stop here with these myriad why questions, because it's straying too far from its comedy. Space Dandy is not an anime that says, it's hard to understand but to enjoy it as a comedy, it's wonderful, and it's very easy to watch. Guys, if I ever thought, why does the world have to be so serious? Then Dandy would look back, shrug, and say, and the last series on this list is Great Teacher, Onizuka. GTO, this is a super hilarious comedy anime. But actually, if you think about it, it's even better. Much better, in fact. It's one of those anime series that helps viewers understand that education isn't just found in textbooks, but also through many other paths. And here, it's a punch. The act of faking death by jumping from a building, and advice drawn from experience leading a gang. Akichi, 22 years old, single, former leader of a motorcycle gang, with an average academic background. His life goal, to become a teacher to get young, beautiful girlfriends. I'm not kidding. But after a few confrontations with students, and a few instances of punching hypocritical teachers in the face, he gradually became an unconventional figure, but an inspiring one. In the teaching profession, GTO is not a comedy anime with big heads and squinty eyes, but rather comedy derived from social situations, where the main character lives, wrong by school logic, but right by human logic. Onizuka doesn't preach morals with lectures on a blackboard, or through hundreds of homework assignments. He teaches everything through faking being a shaman to exercise a pig in class, dragging students to play games, go mountain climbing or feed them terrible bunbo, even gets sued by parents. But he retaliates by and exposing them right on TV. Onizuka's class isn't full of disruptive kids just because they're lazy. They are victims of academic pressure, bullying, divorce, emotional abuse, social media, and achievement-obsessed parents. Or more commonly, they are just kids who want to be understood, but no one listens. And Onizuka himself, with his short-circuited mind and a warm heart, began to educate by shaking up that old rotten system, fighting against the old-fashioned principle, silencing hypocritical colleagues, and pulling students out of the mud of depression. With both kindness and movie-like action sequences, hopefully, that much is more than enough to prove this series is a genuinely smart comedy, no joke. Actually, the protagonist's impressive profile already showed that he lacks the skills or basic teaching knowledge. And yet, every student the main character taught all changed their ways, admired him, and became die-hard fans. Something I bet not every real teacher can achieve, because they recognized the kind person beneath his tough exterior, a benevolent soul, who wished to bring happiness to his students. Onizuka didn't change the education system, but he helped viewers believe that, as long as someone reaches out, then every troubled child can have a second chance to become better. So, if any of you are tired of studying, hate your teachers, or ever thought everyone was fake, watch GTO to understand that teachers were once foolish too, and once rebellious, but if they connect with you, then you will also learn.